What's up guys, welcome to another edition of 20 Tips. Let's get started. It's a lot easier to attack from the back when your opponent can't use their arms as defense. We want to trap their arms with our hooks so it's one arm versus their no arms so we can have free access to their neck. We want to grab their top arm with our bottom arm and our bottom arm with our top arm. Then hook their top arm with our top hook and pass their bottom arm to our bottom arm. Now we can grab the lapel and finish the bow and arrow choke, and there's nothing they can do about it other than tap. When we have someone's back, we have an underside and we have an overside. We want to be on our underside for this. Now we can lift up their top arm and hook with our heel to trap it. We can cross our feet, or alternatively we could put our foot behind their back. This is a clip from one of my rolling commentaries. Make sure you check those out. Those are highly informative too. If your opponent is keeping their chin tucked to their chest, as they should, you want to make your hand flat and slide your hand thumb first to get underneath the chin. Check out this rolling footage. I dig with my thumb. I'm persistent but also patient. Once I have my hand underneath enough, I can gain even more ground by crawling my fingers until I'm completely underneath the chin and where I need to be for my rear naked choke. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you. If you still can't get underneath the chin, we gotta resort to prison rules. By lifting up their nose with your wrist, the chin has to follow. Once there's space, you can quickly bring your arm underneath their chin with all that space you created. Taking a grip just by itself will often be weaker and not as tight as passing the lapel to the other hand and pulling out all the slack. See how I take my time and wait until I can pass the grip to the other hand and get it deeper until I start trying to finish the choke. This extra step is going to ensure I have a higher chance of finishing the choke when I do decide to transition from control to submission. You should always grab your shin first when securing a triangle. This will prevent your opponent from being able to posture up, and it also brings your shin parallel with their shoulders. Now you have time to lock up the triangle fully without having to rush. If we just cross our feet without any posture control, we can easily be stacked. If we get stacked, we're more likely to get our guard passed or injure our neck. Check out this rolling footage. Once I have my leg over their shoulder, I pull my partner's head down to break their posture, then immediately grab my shin to keep their posture broken. There's no rush to lock it up. Once my opponent tries to posture up, only his butt can come up, which makes it even easier to lock up the triangle and finish. Another benefit is we can place our foot on their hip to really prevent the stack from happening, and then lock it up when they're stretched out. I often see beginners grab their own foot and lock it up from the inside. Not only is it ineffective, but it also looks silly. It always reminds me when people do this weird but cool jump. I'm not sure why I included this. Look how pissed Nikki looks in this shot. It's a look I'm quite familiar with. We can't have a gap between our leg and our opponent's neck. It's very important we have our leg completely on the neck, and now it's going to be way tighter of a choke. We need to prioritize a good initial bite on the triangle. A bite meaning putting it on tight from the get-go and no gap between our leg and their neck. When you go for triangle arm bars, it matters which leg you cross over the other. If you have your outside leg crossed over your inside leg, you risk your opponent pushing it down and passing your guard. By crossing your inside over your outside, you brace your outside leg, making it difficult to push down. Wrist control is everything in an armbar. If they can't turn their wrist, they can't escape. If they do manage to change their angle, we can adjust ours with them and finish, as long as we have good control of the wrist. In this rolling footage with his highly skilled brown belt, the reason he is able to escape is he's able to turn his wrist. I should have prioritized better wrist control. Later in the round, I put him in another armbar, and this time I do a better job at controlling the wrist. I'm not letting him escape twice. I had to go a little harder on the armbar too. Sorry man. It's widely taught, and for good reason, to bring the leg over the head before you fall back for an armbar. That way they can't turn into you and escape. But it can be way quicker and easier just to grab the leg instead. Grabbing the leg will do the same thing. It'll prevent them from turning into you. You have to do one or the other. Grabbing the leg takes my opponent by surprise. He doesn't have time to take good defensive grips. He can only keep his hands together. Now I work to get the leg over the head, and once I do, I can let go of the leg. I probably do this style of mounted armbar 99% of the time when I roll. Try it out and let me know how it works for you. Also, check out my rolling commentaries. You'll see me do this all the time. The rolling commentaries are really great for seeing what I teach in action. Just like the triangle, we need a really good bite on the arm triangle, and we can do this by lifting up on the head so there's no gap between our bicep and their neck. On any choke, we don't want to squeeze until we have everything in the right position, especially arm triangle chokes. I won't squeeze until I have my bicep completely in line with the neck. Let's hope that was just a good choke and not COVID. See how I lift up on the head to get my arm deeper? Just a small adjustment. I later go on to finish that choke. I want you to think of me as your online coach, and if you find value in my videos and can spare $5, $10, or $15 a month, that's a great way to support the channel and also get exclusive content. There's a link in my description for my Patreon, and I'd be honored if you'd be a patron. In a darce, we need to make sure our forearm is completely in line with the neck, no gaps or weird angles. When I lock it up, there's a gap, but before I try and finish, I lift my elbow to align my forearm with their neck. My darce guide is extremely thorough, check that out to learn more. In this rolling footage, you can see my forearm is completely in line with the neck, resulting in no neck crank and only choke. Same with the Anaconda, we need our forearm in line with the neck. The Anaconda is basically a darce but locked up opposite. See here, there's a gap and my forearm is not in line with the neck. This is going to result in pain and cranks rather than a choke. Don't even squeeze unless your forearm is in line with the neck like this. So many cross-collar chokes fail because people just take a shallow grip, but you really need a deep grip. You need their neck fitting completely in the curvature of your wrist. And then you can just grab their lapel on the opposite side and bring your elbows together. Any shoulder lock, it's important we isolate the shoulder so it can't move freely. In an Americana, we do this by sliding the wrist down towards the hips. If we don't, the shoulder has lots of wiggle room. The closer you bring the wrist to the hip before lifting the elbow, the tighter it's going to be. The way we isolate the shoulder in an omoplata is to put the shoulder on the mat. One way we can do this is to scoot out with our hips to the side. Our body weight will drag them and force our shoulder to the mat. Triangling our legs in an omoplata is a great way to keep someone in one, but it does little to break their posture and bring their shoulder to the mat. One thing we can do is stiffen our leg and drive it towards the mat. Their shoulder will follow. Now we can scoot out like before to really get it on the mat and now finish. In a Kimura, the way we isolate the shoulder is to pinch the elbow down on the shoulder. The difference between it being pinched and not pinched is quite substantial. You barely have to turn the arm if the shoulder is pinched. It can be difficult to bring your arm underneath the head in a twister. This is because your opponent doesn't want you to do that. What you can do is lift them up momentarily to the other side to put your arm in and then bring them right back over. In a calf slicer, it's really annoying when your opponent grabs your triangle leg and tries to calf slicer you right back. Although you're the one in the superior finishing position, it still hurts. Instead, we can put our foot on our heel and push, which is also a way more powerful way to finish in my opinion. Generally, for leg locks, we want to be above the knee line with our hips. The closer our hips are to theirs is going to be optimal, both for better finishing mechanics and also harder for your opponent to escape. The closer we go to their knee and further from their hips, the weaker our finish is going to be, and there's plenty of space for our opponent to push on our butt with their other foot and escape. When we have our opponent's leg fully extended, it's often better to go for a knee bar or other leg lock than it is to go for a toe hold. Instead, we want to go foot to butt. It's hard to get the braking mechanics right unless their foot is close to their butt with nowhere else to go. It can also put strain on the knee like a heel hook if you try and finish without their foot close to their butt. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you did, I really appreciate it, and let me know what tip stood out to you the most. Which one was like a light bulb moment.